limit this man is Bosor Becholov, and I thought it would be interesting to connect Hilchos Bosor Becholov to Inyana the Yom of Chanukah and speak a little about the halachas if one has oil with blias of Bosor Becholov, if you could use it for Chanukah. The Piskei Tshuva over here in Siman Pei Zayin says that if you have a candle that's made out of Bosor Becholov, we'll see in a second the case, but if you have a candle made out of Bosor Becholov, you're not allowed to use that candle to light it up, that it should be light, you should see where you're going, any day of the year. By night it's dark, you want to use this candle to make it light, that's called Nehenna. And Bosor Becholov is also, you're not allowed to cook Bosor Becholov, you're not allowed to eat it, you're not allowed to have Hano. So just like we spoke in the past, Isuri Hano could be to give it to your pets and to give it to your worker. This is another oifen of Isuri Hano. You're not allowed to have Hano from a candle of Bosor Becholov that's going to light up the room. Furthermore, the Mishnah Berurah in Hilchos Chanukah, Siman Tov Reish Ayin Gimel, Sif Katan Beis, the Mishnah Berurah says that you're not allowed to use such a candle to light Chanukah, to light the menorah, a candle of Bosor Becholov. Now, what's the case of a candle of Bosor Becholov? The same we'll see soon is not only Bosor Becholov, it's any other Isuri Hano, let's say Arlo, we'll get to it, Be'ez Hashem. What's the case of Bosor Becholov? You have a candle that's made out of butter, of chema, but the candle was cooked, this butter was cooked in a pot, a fleishiga pot, and the blias came out of the pot into the butter. So now this butter is a regular case of Bosor Becholov. It's not talking about a case that you have your olive oil that was cooked in a pot, that the pot had Bosor Becholov in it, and blias. Not such a case. And that would make the case, make it much more relevant, but not such a case that you cook the oil in a pot of Bosor Becholov. Because then, the only thing that you have is blias, and like we learned Sivav, Peizayin Sivav, and the Shachas Masber, that blias that come out, even though you're not allowed to eat this oil, because these blias of Bosor Becholov, there's Isser Achila, but Hano, there's no Isser Hano on blias. So Mamela what? We're talking about that you have butter, and the butter was cooked in a pot, a fleishiga pot, and the blias came out of the pot into the butter. So now you have a regular case of Bosor Becholov, and it's aser, you're not allowed to have Hano, you're not allowed to light it. Not during the year, and not on Chanukah, it's aser b'Hano. Now before going into the reason and understanding why it's aser b'Hano, not why it's aser b'Hano, we know Bosor Becholov is aser b'Hano, but where is the Hano, to phrase it better, let's first go back. Why is everybody, the poskim speak about it, the Hano, and what's about the Bishul? When you light the candle, this candle that's made out of butter, so you're cooking up Bosor Becholov. So forget about the Hano that you have that lights up the room. Even without lighting up, let's say it's in broad daylight and you want to light the candle, l'chayr is a bishul. So firstly, the Shari Tshuva over there where the Mishnah Berurah and Hilchos Chanukah discusses this about the bishul part, and he says firstly, it's talking about that you cooked it up already. In other words, you have the candle that was cooked before in a pot that was fleishiks, so you have already the cooking of Bosor Becholov. And the Mela, you want to cook it, reheat it now, and light the candle, that's Bishul Acha Bishul. We spoke about this the first year, which means if one buys a slice of pizza Bosor Becholov, a pepperoni, and wants to reheat it to give it to your cleaning lady, if you hold Bishul Acha Bishul by Bosor Becholov, it's mutter. You're allowed to. So therefore, you're allowed to light this candle, even though it's Bosor Becholov. Since it was cooked already, the Pri Begadim, it's a machlekes. The Pasha says that it's mutter, the Pri Begadim and others, you're allowed to reheat Bosor Becholov. So this candle that you want to light, even though it's Bosor Becholov, which l'chayr should be a problem when you light it, you're cooking it, but it was cooked already before, so ain't Bishul Acha Bishul. Even if you want to tell me that yesh bishul acha bishul, which means it was cooked already. And l'maisa are those that are machmer. The pashtas, the poskim are not machmer, but even if you want to say to be machmer, that yesh bishul acha bishul by Bosor Becholov, here it's not bishul. When you light the candle, since it's oil based, it's an oil, it's the chema, it's not cooked in water, it's not bishul, it's tigun. We spoke about tzli, broiling, these are machlekes apaiskim, broiling, if that's included in the isser of bishul Bosor Becholov, to broil. Tzli, machlekes pre-chadash and the pre-toyer, the Archaim, had to learn a pasuk, the machlekes lagabe broiling. But now, this is something else, this is tigun. And tigun, even if you're going to say it's aser to do tigun, even if you're going to say it's aser, but it's only the Maram Shitas and Maram Shif in Chulin, but it's only a Issa D'Rabbanan. So a Issa D'Rabbanan of Bosor Becholov, we learned this as well. A Issa Bosor Becholov D'Rabbanan, there is only a Issa Achila, not a Issa Ana, like the Shulchan Aruch says, and not a Issa Bishul, which we discussed, but the Kivega speaks out of Cheshbon why the Shulchan Aruch didn't say Bishul. In other words, back in the beginning also, Kol Bosor Becholov she'ina asim in HaTorah muter b'hana. But what's about muter b'bishul? Are you allowed to cook a issa d'Rabbanan of Bosor Becholov? So it says Rabbi Kiva, yes, you're allowed to. Here's a cheshbon why the Ramah didn't bring bishul as well, just because of a different case. But you're allowed to cook it as well, and therefore, the menorah, lighting the menorah of Bosor Becholov, there's no problem of bishul because ain't bishul acha bishul. It was cooked already. And even if you say yesh bishul acha bishul, first of all it's tigun, and tigun frying, deep frying, there's no isser or at most the isser d'Rabbanan. So mameli you're allowed to do such a type of bishul of tigun. And v'oi, the poskim say another reason why there's no problem of cooking, because cooking is only when you cook to eat. If you burn something, when it's l'sreifa, to burn something, over there is no Isser Bishul. The poskim speak about throwing into sreifas chametz. One person throws in a cheese sandwich, and one person throws in a meat sandwich. If there's a problem, you throw into certain garbages that they burn it. At least in the old times it was like that. So is there an Isser Bishul? The Isser Bishul is only when you cook something. Cooking means you cook to eat it. Even if you don't eat it, even if you're not going to eat it, there's an Isser Bishul. But it's cooking in a way in a pot to eat, as opposed to if you burn something, there's no Isser Bishul, and therefore when you light this candle, whether during the year or for the menorah, there's no Isser Bishul. So we took care of the Isser Bishul by lighting this candle. There is no Isser Bishul. However, there is there's a problem of a hana, you being nehenah from the candle. Now, we can understand why you're considered nehenah from the candle during the year. You light a candle, it's pitch black. You went out, you're camping, you have this candle that's a butter candle, which you could have such a candle, it makes a good smell. You have this butter candle, you want to light it. So it's aser because you're having hana, it's light, it's making light for you. But Chanukah, why Chanukah is there in Isser? First of all, Chanukah, the halacha is that you're not allowed to have hana from the neiros of Chanukah. So since you're not allowed to have hana from the neiros of Chanukah, what difference does it make that the candle is Bosor Becholov and it's aser b'hana? No, what difference does it make? You're not allowed to have hana from the candle, and since you're not allowed to have hana from the candle, so mameli, there's no. What's the isser hana over here? V'oid. What's the isser? You're not allowed to have hana if you're having hana, but you're not allowed to have hana, which means you're not allowed to benefit from the menorah. You're not allowed to have hana from the candles. So if you're not allowed to have hana, you're not allowed to have hana to cause a problem, the isser of Bosor Becholov.
For something you need to do. I know it's not what's the definition of hana.
What, saving you money?
Yeah.
You're saving money. Very good, Elia, and how Avram, how you're bringing it out. Lamaisi be'arviach money. Very good. It's a good shayla. Lamaisi have such a no. What money you save? Because if not, you'd have to go and buy a bottle of oil. Ramosha and Tshuva addresses this, and Ramosha says that that's not called hana. Why? The mitzvah to have to put on tefillin, to sit in the sukkah, it goes through all the cases. Part of the mitzvah, there's no part of the mitzvah that you have to buy the tefillin. You have to put on tefillin. Obviously, if you don't have tefillin, so then you have to buy tefillin. But you don't. The mitzvah is to put on tefillin. That's the mitzvah. This that you have to own, you have to buy, give money to buy the mitzvah. That he calls is only a goyrim, and maybe it's not called hana. He addresses the question. So that's the first shayla. L'chayr you have no hana because l'maisi you're not allowed to have hana from the nearest of Chanukah. Which just a maimer amusker, that's Chanukah. There are certain cases where you could have hana, but the pasha says it's aser, you're not allowed to have hana. Secondly, these concept brought in the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah that mitzvahs lav lahanis nitnu, and therefore, if somebody makes a neder that he's not going to have hana from a shofar or from a person, that person could blow shofar for him, or he could have the shofar blow for him, even though he was moider hana, even though technically isn't he having hana from the person? The Torah says it's not called hana. Why not? Because lamaisa mitzvah lav lahanis nitnu. So ibazoi, even though, let's even say technically that you could have hana, but since it's a mitzvah, and mitzvah lav lahanis nitnu, since mitzvah lav lahanis nitnu, you're not having hana. So what's the problem to use a Chanukah menorah candles made out of Bosor Becholov? What's the problem? During the year we understand the Pischei Tshuva over here, because during the year you're having hana and it's also hana, but on Chanukah you're not allowed to have hana. It's mitzvah lav lahanis nitnu. Some want to say that mitzvahs lav lahanis nitnu is only by mitzvahs d'oraisa, and therefore Pischei Tshuva brings this mitzvahs d'Rabbanon. Mitzvahs d'Rabbanon, you say mitzvah lahanis nitnu. So Mamela, it's Asa Ba'ana, it's Bosor Becholov. Mamela, you can't use the candles of Bosor Becholov. But one thing is important to point out, that even if Chanukah, we're discussing if it's Asa Ba'ana, if it's Mutter Ba'ana, Neiros Shabbos, even if you want to say mitzvahs lav lahanis nitnu, and even by a mitzvah d'Rabbanon, says the Bir Aloch and Hilchas Shabbos, you're not allowed to light the Neiros Shabbos from Arla, which is also another case of Isuri Ana. And says the Bir Aloch, the reason is, even if you hold mitzvah lav lahanis nitnu, but Neiros Shabbos, the mitzvah is given for Hana, either for Shalom Bayis or for Oynik Shabbos, but it's given for Hana. Since the mitzvah is for Hana, you're not allowed to use Arla, which means you can't use Bosor Becholov. But anyways, back to Neiros Chanukah. Why can't you light a menorah from Bosor Becholov? So before going into the teretz, I just want to point out, it was either yesterday, 2 days ago, Rebbe Avram pointed out a good shaila that lamaisa, what happens after the half hour? After the half hour, which even though the halachas of Mishabura brings, it's a big shaila if the oil becomes aser, huktzal, and mitzvasa, but you could put out the menorah after half hour. So it's interessant to shaila, what's going to be the din, even if you hold its mutter, maybe afterwards it'll be aser. It's not a teretz on our shaila, because Lamaisa, the Mishnah Berurah says it's aser to light the menorah with such neiris of Bosor Becholov. Maybe after the half hour it's aser, but this half hour, mitzvah lav lahanis nitnu, you're not allowed to have hana, so that's for sure you should be allowed. After the half hour could be taka, would be problematic. So what's the teretz? What's the pshat? Why you're not allowed to? So weiter the Pischei Tshuva, the Shari Tshuva within Hilchas Chanukah say you're not allowed to use neiris of Chanukah, of Bosor Becholov, for a different reason. Not because it's asa b'hana, but not it's the isser hana. The isser hana causes, just like the Gemara says in Sukkah, lulav shal asherah shal irani dachas. Since you have to burn it, oimid lisarif kisarif, it's as if it's burnt. Kisuse mechse shura, which means you don't have the shear. These are shear of lulav that you have to have 4 tvachim. You don't have the shear. The same thing is by menorah. Menorah also is a shear. The shear by menorah is that you have to put in oil for 30 minutes. So you don't have the shear, and memeli you don't have the shear. You can't be yotze the adlakas Chanukah. Ramoshe, the different tshuva, explains that kisusa mechze shura crushes it up and makes it into pieces. So even though the menorah is going to burn for 30 minutes, but you don't have a unit of 30 minutes of oil. It's like little drips that end up adding up the half hour to burn, and you're not yoitza. When you light, you have to light the menorah that has a unit of oil of 30 minutes of oil, and Kisuse Mechsashur ruins that oil. So so we have like this. Now we're going to veer off a little bit from Bosor Becholov, get a little bit more involved into the Chanukah part. But mitzad Bosor Becholov, to light all year round, it's aser because you're nehena. That's a case of nehena. For Chanukah, it wouldn't be aser out the iser of Bosor Becholov, because lamaisa, first of all, there's no iser. You're not allowed to have hana, and also mitzvah have lahana stita. But there's a new problem. There's a hilchas Chanukah problem that lamaisa you don't have oil.
Why would you have to destroy it if you're using it and have to get oil? You have to destroy anything that believes the Bosor. This case over here, the Ramah brings down with the Chafifas Aroish.
No, so there's a case, Chafifas Aroish, that's a case that it's only Blias, he's takano Isser Ano. That sushtal is not a good sushtal. No, we're talking about, that's how it's makdim. It's not talking about that just you cooked up the candle in a pot of Bosor Becholov. The candle is chemos, butter is milchix, and you cooked it in a fleishiga pot. Now, this butter is a shtick Bosor Becholov. It's not just that Blias came into the water, to the hot water. The candle is considered Bosor Becholov. So it's asa ba'ano. Either it's misraf, nikbarim, it's isuri ano.
Is that the halacha by Blias? You don't have to burn, but by...
Yeah. We're not even talking about the din of burning. The Isser Ano, over there...
Where's the have to destroy it?
It doesn't need to be destroyed as a share.
Asman means Asman no. He says you have to destroy it.
Oh,
You have to get rid of it.
because you can't have no.
No.
Is there such a thing? I don't think there's such a thing of an Isser Ano. Either you have to burn it, nisrafim or nikbarim. You have to get rid of it. Trying to remember from that Mishnah over there that has the listing, it said Tmura increases. I could chop it up, but it brings Bosor Becholov over there. One of the two, I think it goes in one of the two, either Nikbarim or Asrafim.
You have to get rid of it.
Me'idach. So far we have the Shita, the Poskim say that it's Aser, because Lamaisa Kisuse Mechze Shiura. The Aruch HaShulchan says it's mutter. You're allowed to use such a candle. You're allowed to use such a candle of Bosor Becholov. It's mutter. Why is it mutter? Because it's Aser L'shtamish L'oira, so there's no problem of Isuri Ano. There's no problem of Isuri Ano because it's Mitzvah Slav L'hones Nitu. You're going to say Kisuse Mechze Shiura, so you don't have the shear of the oil. So the Aruch HaShulchan says a few words, and a lot of the later poskim explain it more by arichas. He says that it's only when you need a davar gush, a lulav, you need a whole item. You need a lulav 4 tvachim. By oil, you need a unit cubic part of 30 minutes of oil. Let's say you could, they come out with a technology that when you have a wick with a mashu of oil, that could last for 30 minutes, so you're yoitza. So why is there a problem when it's chopped up into pieces? Torah's Chesed, Shalom, Torah, Yeshuas, Yaakov, now Libadal Chaim, Chotshani, or Nissan Karelis, they all speak about it, that of course these are halacha, when you light the menorah, you have to light it, at Lokoi you have to light it, that it should burn for 30 minutes, just a second, you have to burn it for 30 minutes, but Lamaisa, even if you have to burn it for 30 minutes, and if you light it, there's only 10 minutes of oil, you add an oil, over there, you're not going to be yoitza, but if you light it and it's going to burn for 30 minutes, why should you not be yoitza? So why should the Ketusa Mechze Shura cause an issue of not being yoitza? What were you saying?
One reason is that the oil didn't burn out. One reason is that it was not enough oil and it burned very, very thin. It wasn't a sheer of oil.
In the menorah of the Beis Hamikdash, and therefore,
very thin saying that it should burn. Not the oil. You don't have to have it.
they bring bedoimet to what you're saying. They say that v'harai you can make very thick wicks and thick or thin wicks, but that it doesn't make a chiluk in how much. But that's not near lamaisa. When you make thin wicks, when you have the oil, you have 30 minutes of oil. If you have a very thick wick, it takes a lot of oil. So you have to have more oil.
What's the sheer in the oil? no shear in the oil then.
He's talking no shear. The shear is has to burn for 30 minutes. If you have a thick wick and it goes out after 5 minutes,
It's going to burn. Who cares if it's not there? I mean, they care if it's burning, not the oil.
That's the word.
that's the tzad in the Aruch HaShulchan to say that it's mutter, because Lamaisa, who cares how it burns if you have a whole bunch of little pieces of oil? Lamaisa burns for 30 minutes. You yoitza.
So it could be like the Ketute Mechtashura makes it that there's absolutely nothing there at all, and it's burning on nothing. That's a shot.
There is something there.
Why is it burning?
But there's not.
There's shear, it says there's no shear.
There's no shear.
There's not.
You just need a smile. You don't need
You don't have to have a shear.
That's the word.
I was rather wondering, just to negate your shaila, let's say they could come out with a wick that they could put in a certain type of DNA. They'll get to it soon. That you don't have to have any oil. Bechlal. Are you yotzeh? Or the pshat is you need oil or wax. What? No, so battery. That's a shaila for itself. But that because Lamaisa it sucks out the juice, whatever juice it is. That's what is a shaila of electric. But we're not going to get off topic. But electric manure, the issue that would be, even if you have the right bulbs that you want to use for adlokas neiris. The thing is that it comes with a wire, and you don't have 30 minutes of juice to light. As opposed to a battery, you have it in the battery. Agav about that. But let's say you don't have anything b'chlal. I was wondering when we were handling this nidun, if let's say you don't have anything, is that also lamaisa? If the adloka you burn and it goes, it's good.
If you say that Bosor you could light with Bosor, because of Ketute Mechtashura, you don't have anything. That is not.
But Ketuse Mechtashura means you have nothing, or it means it's pieces.
It means it's nothing. No.
Sorry, what's your name again? Meir. Meir's pointing out, Rabbi side, that could be Ketuse Mechtashura that it's commanda lessa. But Lamaisa, I'll show you. There's a Gemara. I think it's a Gemara in Chulin. I have to check up exactly where. But the halacha is the Gemara speaks about it, and Rashi explains that you're allowed to use sand or dust or anything from Asherah or Iranidachas to do Kisi Adam. It's a Gemara in Chulin Taka. And the reason for that is because even Lu Yehei that it's Ketuse Mechtashura, so Adarabba, let it be even more shredded up. If it's commanded less, you wouldn't be able to use it for Kisi Adam. It's there, but it's pieces, it's small pieces. But Lamaisa was saying here for the oil, what's the difference? Small pieces should be Yaitza. What'd you say? Yeah. Oh, so you're saying the male of here, Taka makes it completely command less. So very good. Aha. You say, I hear. There could be Taka over there. I have to check if the case is only by Kisi Adam. So it's Afron Mutter, so Mela Kedusha Mechtashur, you can still use the offer.
Oh, that's
I hear.
There's a Tyson Kabur in the end of the Torah that says the difference between the Srafin and the Gebarim is that the Srafin, the offer is Aser.
Yeah, Havada, that's
The
a...
Srafin is offer is Mutter, and the Gebarim is offer is Aser.
So Mela, if it's Rikbarin, Mabeli, you can't use it. You can't use it even afterwards, you don't have oil, Bechla, you don't have anything. One more Nekuda to discuss about this bus of a chal of oil, which... Hana, l'chayr is no issue. We have a different problem that you don't have the oil here. L'chayr should be another problem. The Gemara says, l'gabi tefillin, I think it's a Gemara in Shabbos, the Gemara says that the tefillin has to be made out of the oil of the tefillin has to be made out of a kosher animal, because it has to be mehamut bepicha. You have to be able to eat the tefillin. The Rishonim and the Achroinim speak about, is it dafka by tefillin because it says Laman Tia Teres Hashem Beficha dafka by tefillin, or is it by other mitzvahs as well? You take a look in Hilchas Rosh Hashanah by shofar, the Machaber the Ramah says that a shofar shall behema temeas psula. You're not allowed to use a shofar shall behema temeah. Why? Explains the Mishnah Berurah, because it's going with the poskim that hold that you have to have mehamuter beficha and a shofar shall behema temeah. You're not allowed, it's aser, you're not allowed to eat a behema temeah. However, he brings that these achroinim that argue that say you don't need me'amot v'ficha. So l'chayr over here by menorah, let alone the bus of a chal of mitzad the iser anah. And let's say we worked out that ketuse mechtashur you still have the oil, but l'chayr it's not me'amot v'ficha. You're not allowed to eat such oil. Oh, so very good. You machaven the spamash pasha like that. The Marsham says, and also in Das Torah. Afanart and Hilchas Chanukah, he says that even if you hold me'amut v'ficha all over, when it comes to Issa d'Rabbanon, you should know others argue. Reb Reb Shlomo Kluger says that it's always aser, but if you hold that it's only by Isidra, only by the Rabbanon, only by the Raisa, by the Rabbanon, you don't need the Ficha, so Mela wouldn't be a problem. So what's la halacha? We have a machlokes. The Mishabur says it's aser. We saw the Aruch HaShulchan says that you're allowed to use this oil of Bosor Becholov. Lemaisa, what happens if somebody lit a menorah from this oil? B'diavad. What's b'diavad? So the Prima Godim and Psicha, the Prima Godim says, and it's also Marsham, that b'diavad it's okay. So we have a machlokes. The Mishabur says not to use it. B'diavad it's fine. Just to be besakim, we have oil from Bosor Becholov, a candle of Bosor Becholov. Around the year you're not allowed to use it because it's asa b'hana. Lighting it bishul is never an issue if it's bishul acha bishul, and if it's tigor, and if it's streifa, there's no problem with bishul. During the year there's an isser ana. On Chanukah there's no isser ana, because you're not allowed to have ana from the candle, and there's also mitzvah slav lahonis nitnu. However, there's a chshayla mitzvah mitzvah hadlaka in Chanukah. When you light the menorah lamaisa, do you have 30 minutes of oil or not? And l'tchatchila, we see the Mishabur says you shouldn't use such a type of candle, but if you use such a candle, you yoitza.